Good evening, my friends. This is Paul, and today we are joined by a special guest, Miss Peggle, coming all the way from Australia, just to talk to you guys about games that she loves. How are you enjoying the American climate so far?
It is very good, very cold, I have noticed.
So cold that you had to bring 3 sweaters, huh?
That's so me, I'd so bring 3 sweaters though.
Wait, you say sweaters in Australia?
We call them sweaters, or cardigans.
Suddenly, I'm getting more cultured on how British and Australian cultures are actually very different. You guys should take note of that. We are here to do what is called an afterglow of the Nintendo Direct of February 2023, where we will be going over some of the highlights of the Direct that either one or both of us liked and just talk about it. We've implemented a timer this time so that we won't go completely off the rails. Some of these games they hardly showed anything, so we probably won't talk for that long anyway, but you guys can keep note of how many times we went over 5 minutes on each thing, and I will give my heartfelt apologies.
Yes, because I'm still editing our Mario video and it still won't let me download it. It's like it's too big.
Oh, I hope that video is not out. Well, then again, they didn't introduce any new Mario games this
No,
direct,
they
so it probably
haven't
won't
yet.
be outdated for a while.
Nah, I'll make sure to get it done very soon.
Alrighty, so without further ado, let us get started with Samba de Amigo Party Central. So this is a game that was originally released for the Dreamcast and arcades. It starred a monkey that really loved maracas, and it featured a whole lot of hip songs. I think they were like Spanish folklore, and you'd have to shake your maracas in the direction of wherever the indicators were. And they made a remake of it on the Wii, and we thought that was the end of the series, but apparently they're making another one, and they haven't told us a single thing about it apart from its music.
Exactly. I was like, what is this game?
So you'd never heard of Samba de Amigo before now?
I have not. Never heard of it. I was like, what is this game? And you're like, it's this game. I'm like, what?
Well, I am quite the rhythm game fan. I'm sure I told you about the time I spent $10 on one DDR machine at the arcade, and the arcade attendants had to literally pull me aside to give me a drink and be like, we appreciate your patronage, but at least think about your health.
Yes, you did tell me about that. I was like, you kidding me?
Well, yeah, I learned my lesson from then on.
Oh, I'd hope so.
Well, you don't really like rhythm games a whole lot, but do you think you'll give this one a try if it has, like, Sonic music or some other Sega games you really like?
I'm not sure. Yeah, like you said, I'm not too crazy when it comes to rhythm games, although I play Just Dance, which is technically a rhythm game. But, I don't know. Might see your review first, see what you think.
My review is all of a sudden like her source for everything she buys now, except for Pokemon, in which case I always say, ew, this is terrible, and she's like, I agree, but I'm gonna play it anyway, because I like to be an enabler.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of games that I am going to convince Peggle to buy with my review, let us talk about the highlight of the Direct for me personally, and Peggle was just like losing it over how excited I was, but they're remaking Ghost Trick. Like, my gosh, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person in the world that was actually excited about that, but if there's anyone else out there, let me know in the comment, or let her know in the case of on her channel, but man, what did you think about seeing Ghost Trick for the first time?
I just looked at it and went, oh, this looks like a murder, and then you shouted, it's Ghost Trick, and I was like, oh.
Okay, so for the uninitiated, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective came out for the DS in 2011, and it was criminally overlooked because, as I'm sure you know, that was the same year the 3DS came out. It was done by the same guy who did the Ace Attorney games, and it involves you playing as the spirit of a dead man who can possess inanimate objects and use them to change the fate of those around him. he also has the ability to go back in time, not very far. I think it's only like 2 or 3 minutes. But that's basically the game's way of preventing you from getting a game over by saying, hey, if you mess up, you can just rewind time. That's just the premise of it. The game's story, I remember when I first played it, I thought it was mind-blowing. I'm sure now that I've played Zero Escape, I've probably seen better, but at the time I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, that's amazing!
Yeah. Hey, at least the girl is a redhead. That made me happy.
It's actually, it's interesting that you mentioned the girl, because in so many of these anime-type games, they try to over-sexualize the female main characters, but I don't think they actually make any sex jokes in this game. I think there's one scene where they make it really obvious that she's a woman, but they don't actually, try to make her fan service-y at all, which I was really impressed when I played the original Ghost Trick.
So, what came with the name, Ghost Trick? How exactly does the game work?
Because you're playing as a ghost, and because he doesn't have a body of his own, he manipulates the environment to move around. So he might have to, well, it's hard to explain without showing footage, but, you might be in a junkyard and, keep moving from one piece of junk to the other, and then, animate a bike, and then ride the bike over to a duck, and then possess the duck, and make the duck squeak enough so that it turns on its side. That's just what came off the top of my head, but it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because he's dead, you have to control the environment instead of the person.
That makes sense.
And so it's like a puzzle game, first and foremost, where you have to figure out what's the optimal route through the environment to save this particular person that's in need.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Not a very replayable game, though. It's one of the biggest problems I had, is once you've beaten it, there's no alternate paths, so totally the opposite of Zero Escape. Well, puzzle lovers, you're probably going to be amazed, especially if you love Ace Attorney, as it wears its heart on its sleeve. There are a lot of moments where it's like, yeah, that's the Ace Attorney guy, alright. So the next game we have on our list, this is one that Peggle really likes quite a lot, so she's going to do most of the talking here. They announced the next 2 waves of Splatoon 3 DLC, the paid DLC to be specific. And one of them almost made Peggle cancel her pre-order of Splatoon 1, so would you like to tell the audience why this is the hypest thing ever, and you've got to clean the drool off of your shirt?
Oh, when this came out, I was just gushing, and I really wanted to scream, but I couldn't wake Dragon up, so I was absolutely just beaming with happiness. So, yeah, Splatoon 3 got its finally a DLC. Everyone told me, nah, too early. It's only been 6 months. I'm like, nah, you wait, it'll come, and it came. So, haha, I win. So the first wave that they showed was Inkopolis, which is the first lobby area based in Splatoon 1. So now people that didn't play the Wii U or didn't play Splatoon 1 can now see the first lobby in Splatoon 3, which I thought was pretty cool. At first I was worried they were going to bring in both lobbies and all the maps and be like, well, here you go, you don't need to play the other games anymore. So that was pretty cool. They also brought in the other shops, which had old faces, I believe. So you had you had Annie, you had I believe their names are Shelly and Donnie, and there was Fred Crumbs. So I believe they're all old faces, but I'm not 100% sure. They might be new faces. I might need to double check on that. But yeah, that was the first half. Oh, and we also get to see Callie and Marie do some performances during the Splatfests. So get some, they say, nostalgia. So that was pretty cool. And then they brought in the second wave, which was, I think, the biggest hype, and this has been literally going all over the internet, which is called Side Order. So this is this seems like, we don't know really anything, but we think that this might be kind of like Octo expansion from Splatoon 2. So a whole new story mode. Now, at first when I saw it, I shouted Marina straight away, like a Marina backstory. But I've actually been looking over the trailer and some pictures the last couple of days, and I believe the Octoling we're playing as is Agent 8, who I believe is from Splatoon 2. So that'll be exciting. So this is all about side order, so the team order from the Splatfest. Final Splatfest in Splatoon 2, Chaos First Order. So that'll be pretty exciting when that comes out.
Well, I don't really play Splatoon a whole lot, but even I could tell that this was quite the hype announcement, as I always love it when Nintendo takes a familiar area and recontextualizes it in the new engine. Kind of like when, say, they brought back all the old stages in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but like you played it with the Ultimate characters. Like, I always love it when Nintendo does things like that. Or take Mario Kart 8, when they brought back all those old tracks and added like anti-gravity and underwater to them. So I think adding a hub world to an existing Splatoon game from a previous one, which surprisingly I've explored Inkopolis and she hasn't, and she's the Splatoon fan, that's wild.
Hey, I finally ordered Splatoon 1. It's coming next week, so...
Good for you. You get to see some of the origins of their moves in Smash.
Yay!
And if we had one more minute, you'd be able to gush about everything you're hoping for, but as it is, universe is on my side for the next item, which is the next wave of DLC for Fire Emblem Engage. I literally just finished editing my video of it like a half hour before we did this. So I'll probably just end up using my own footage once I edit this. But they added Soren, Camilla, and Hector as emblem rings. I was pretty excited about most of them because I liked all three of the games that they were from. Especially Soren, because that's more love to Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. Like, not enough people appreciate Path of Radiance. And I also really appreciated that they took a lot of the remixed music tracks from Sitting Paralogs and brought them back. There's not a whole lot to say about it, honestly, it's just more characters. But they did announce that Wave 4 is going to be bringing in, like, a new epilogue, or a xenologue, I think they called it, which... that's always nice, because the villain was very underdeveloped in Fire Emblem Engage. They gave hints of, like, a cool backstory, but it was shoved in at the last minute, so I would really appreciate them fleshing it out a bit more. So, what do you think, Peggle? Were you, like, swooning over Soren actually having long hair for a guy?
I mean, I don't know who, Soren is, so I can't say anything, but I was pretty hyped when I saw the Wave 3 with Chrome and Robin, so...
Oh yeah, they finally brought in the actual protagonists of Fire Emblem Awakening instead of Lucina.
Yes.
I mean, in a manner of speaking, she kind of is, but like from an alternate timeline. So, I feel like they just wanted it because Lucina is popular, but it's like, Chrom was voiced by Matt Mercer, guys. What the heck?
Exactly. Matt Mercer's amazing.
This was back in 2013, so if Matt Mercer still reprises his role, he'll be 10 years older than he was in Awakening.
Wow.
I wonder if he'll sound like an old man in this new game.
So yeah, I enjoyed seeing Chrome and Robin. I played as them quite a lot in Smash Brothers, so I was pretty happy with that. The is it Xenologue? That perked my interest a little bit because, you know, seeing some epilogue is kind of interesting, and it's nice to get a bit more story. I was listening to the music during the direct, and I was like, this is the music for Fire Emblem? I see, interesting.
Well, Fire Emblem Engage is definitely one of the weaker soundtracks in Fire Emblem history, but when it does have good music, it has really good music. Like, I should send you a link to the music of... I better not say the name, but... there's a track that appears late in the game that is fully orchestral and really triumphant, and as a Fire Emblem fan, it made me so happy with the nostalgia, but I think it would make you happy because you'd be like, guess they didn't abandon the majestic, triumphant orchestra pieces from Three Houses after all. They just spread them out more.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Did you have any other thoughts on the characters themselves, or were you just like, oh, Paul's gonna be happy here?
I wonder if they're gonna bring out any more characters for Engage. Like, I don't know who else they could bring. Well, I'm sure you've got a few ideas, but I don't. Do you think they could bring back any more, or do you think that's probably it for the waves?
I think this is probably gonna be it, because this isn't Fire Emblem Heroes, where they tried to bring back every character, but there wasn't a lot of substance to the gameplay. I think they wanted to focus on quality over quantity. And so with the main game, they have the 12 lords being like one of the protagonists from every mainline Fire Emblem game. So the DLC is adding like popular side characters that get along really well with the respective lords. So like Hector was one of 3 main characters in the original Fire Emblem. But in the base game, they chose Lyn as the representative because she's the girl and she's got the proportion, so of course everyone loves her, even though I think Hector's a way better character than her and he should have deserved the spotlight, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yes, everyone's happy that Camilla's in it.
And I'm sure we all know why everyone is happy that Camilla's in it. Camilla wasn't even that great of a character in Fire Emblem Fates. She was as annoying as heck and borderline incestual. Like, I just want to forget that I heard and saw any of that stuff in Fates.
Fair enough.
Well, we do have to move on since we just hit the 5-minute mark, but you'll be happy to move on because the next item is one of your favorites, which is that they talked about Octopath Traveler 2.
Yes! Oh, it feels good. I wasn't sure if they were gonna bring this in because this game is literally coming out in like 2 weeks, I think. So, but I was very happy. They didn't announce too much. They just said, hey, the demo's available. Go play it. But I find it really exciting. I was just going over Octopath with some friends yesterday, looking at some of the characters, and this is going to be really, really great. I cannot wait to see these characters' stories and all the enemies and the music. That's what I'm most hyped for. The music is going to be amazing, I think.
I think they actually are going to have Octopath Traveler music tracks in Theatrhythm Final Bar Line, so I think that's already a plus.
Heck yes. Yes, I don't have too much to say with Octopath 2 because we don't fully know the gist of anything. But I'm really excited to hear some of these characters' backstories because Octopath had really, really good backstories for the for the characters. Like all of them had really sad backstories that can really tug on your heartstrings. So I'm you're really curious to see what they're gonna pull off in this one.
Well, I just hope they have a better battle system, because that's why I couldn't get through the first Octopath Traveler. I was like, this is way too confusing. It's too much like the old Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, I will admit that's the game. The battle mechanics have been holding me back a little bit, but I guess we'll see.
So the next item on our list is a game that was delayed for what we thought was indefinitely, but they finally gave a release date for it, and that is Advance Wars 12. I mean, Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, which is it's the first 2 Advance Wars games now completely remade from the ground up into one package by a different company, which might sound red flags for some, because the original Advance Wars games were made by Intelligent Systems, which is the company that did Fire Emblem and Paper Mario, so you know that they're very competent when it comes to making RPGs. So if this other company can outdo the RPG legends, then this will be a very good game. And it comes out the day after my birthday, so it better be good.
Exactly. Yeah, I was really happy when this was announced on the Direct, because I think a lot of us thought that they were just gonna either just get rid of this game, not bother with it, or quietly put it onto the eShop and not really say anything about it. And it's pretty understandable why. I mean, with the world events that were happening right when they were about to release it last year, it was just probably wasn't the best time, and I think that was a good thing for Nintendo to do, to hold back on releasing it. But I think it did become a bit like overdue. Like, okay, it's been a while now, Nintendo, you should probably release it. But nope, they finally released it, and I hope they saved that time with adding in some more stuff, because that would be really cool.
Not like you're gonna play it though, because you still gotta play Fire Emblem.
Oh yes, I must play Fire Emblem before this.
Well, with the recent surge of Fire Emblem popularity, I think it's getting harder and harder for her to find excuses, especially since one of the later announcements mentioned a Fire Emblem game. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's jump to the next item on the list, which is they showed more information about Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. And I kind of don't want to say what they showed, because I feel like that's a massive spoiler. Like, they literally talked about the epilogue.
Yeah, I can understand why you can't say too much. I mean, but I don't know. I mean, I guess they don't really care if it's a spoiler if they showed it.
The thing about the original Return to Dreamland is that I went into it going pretty much completely blind. And there was a certain twist in the narrative that caught me off guard. And I feel like if I hadn't played Return to Dreamland, then I would have been like, whoa, this is cool that we're getting an epilogue for that particular moment that was left in the air in the original game. I suppose when you're selling a game with a deluxe moniker, you have to give it something to make it really stand out and not be another new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, where it actually has less content than the Wii U game.
Yes.
We want more Bowser's Furies. We want less new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxes, Nintendo.
Well, you can say that the demo for it came out, so.
I still haven't played the demo yet because I've been too busy with the next item on our list.
Fair enough.
But I do think it's cool that it seems like HAL Laboratory is learning from past Kirby games and taking their experience into this remake, because I definitely saw some elements of the new epilogue that are reminiscent of Heroes from Another Dimension in Star Allies, which is one of the most underrated parts of that game. So I'm glad that they're learning something from Star Allies.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice. I loved when it was announced. You were like, "This game is coming out in like a week, Nintendo. I don't want more information." And then they came out with the epilogue, and you were like, "Well, now."
Yeah, I thought they were just gonna say, "Hey, it exists," but no, they wanted to do a little more marketing push for it. So I commend them for that.
Yes, definitely.
You think you're gonna get it?
I'll finish. Why have I forgotten the name of it? I'll play the
Forgotten
other.
Land.
Yeah, I'll play.
Of course you've forgotten it, because it's Forgotten Land.
I'll finish that first, and then I'll think about it.
We have a lot to finish in the next item on our list, which, I think because there's so much stuff to talk about, we'll give this section 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot to say about it, and I'm sure she does as well. Bringing Game Boy games to base Nintendo Switch, and Game Boy Advance games to the expansion pack. And if you have the expansion pack, then you also get the Game Boy games as a bonus. And they've already got a whole bunch of them to play right now. Like, how cool is that?
Oh, it's amazing. Like, I was amazed at this, because the minute they said, like, now we've got some information on Nintendo Online, I was like, hi, I'm here, thinking it was N64, and because you were watching in delay, you were just like, hold on, hold your breath, and I was like, so
Yeah, we had some
so cool.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you can go.
We had some technical difficulties when we watched the Nintendo Direct live, so I had the YouTube link pulled up. Because she was streaming it on Twitch, it was like a couple of seconds behind what she was doing, so a lot of times she would spoil stuff for me because she was seeing it ahead of time.
Yes, I felt so bad. I was like, oh, I'm spoiling stuff.
Well, it wasn't too bad. At least you weren't like talking about leaks or like, oh, hey, did you hear the rumor that there's going to be a new Donkey Kong game? It's like, that's what I like to call an inevitability. Eventually there's going to be a new Donkey Kong game. The leakers can just pretend that they were right because it's like saying eventually it'll rain. Like, it's not just going to stop raining for the rest of existence. But anyway, back on track. They had a pretty good selection of games starting out. Like, Minish Cap is one of the best Zelda games ever made. Super Mario Land 2, for some reason they didn't put on Super Mario Land 1. But I think that's because that game is like an hour long, and they probably wanted something a bit more meaty.
Yeah.
They have Kuru Kuru Kurin, which was an assist trophy in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and it was based on a whole game around a moving platform that you couldn't let hit anything. It sounds so stupid. And because it was so stupid, they waited until the Wii U Virtual Console to bring it over to North America. But since they're closing down the eShop, Nintendo had to do damage control, and that's probably why they did all this, is because people who wanted the Virtual Console games on 3DS and Wii U eShop are like, no, we can't go on those old games, and Nintendo's like, just kidding, we got them.
Exactly.
Were there any games that you saw that you were like, oh, they're bringing back that good one?
Yeah, so Tetris was one of them. I love Tetris. I think it's such a great game, so cute, so simple. I like the music in Tetris. I think it's adorable. They announced Link's Awakening DX, I think it's called, which I was like,
That's right.
okay. Game & Watch made me laugh because, you know, I love using Game & Watch in Smash Bros. Ultimate, so they announced Kirby's Dream Land, which I'm being forced to play because Dragon said so.
I've actually played quite a few of the Game Boy games so far, and I have mixed feelings about them. Like, I do think Tetris it still holds up pretty well, but I've also come in first place in Tetris 99, so I guess you could consider me a Tetris master. The original Tetris, it had quite a lot of input delay that would be unacceptable in Tetris 99, and that's what cost me a few matches that I otherwise would have won effortlessly. Yes, I did beat the highest difficulty, and the game actually rewards you for it.
Yeah.
I didn't think an old game like that would take that into account, but no, you get like this man in a sombrero that plays a little violin song and say like, you did it, good job, you did it, good job, you did it. That's a Stanley Parable reference. If anyone got that, good for you.
Yes, they're also going to be bringing into the future. They're bringing the Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons and Ages, Pokemon trading game, and Kirby Tilt and Tumble. So
And Kirby and the Amazing Mirror,
that one too.
which is like an open world Kirby platformer. Fire Emblem.
Yes. Fire.
Let that sink in again. Fire Emblem.
Legit the first one, guys. The one that started it all.
They didn't say if they would do Sacred Stones or not, which I think is even better of a game, but I digress. At least they're bringing one of the Fire Emblem games over.
Yeah. They're also bringing in
Super Mario
Metroid
Brothers-
Fusion,
It didn't say Zero Mission, though.
F-Zero, Golden Sun, which everyone was like, oh my god, a Golden Sun!
Okay, here's what I think. Okay, I do think that the games they showed were amazing, and some of the ones I've played so far are pretty okay. But there were a few noticeable omissions that I think Nintendo might have overlooked for the sake of having a good first impression. Like, we get Wario Land 2, or Wario Land 3 before we get Wario Land 2 or Wario Land 1. We get Super Mario Land 2 before we get Super Mario Land 1. You see the pattern here?
Yeah.
Super Mario Bros. 3, we got that, but we couldn't get Super Mario Bros. 2. I think it was more of like quality over continuity,
Yeah.
if I had to take a guess.
Oh yeah, and they also brought in Mario Kart Super Circuit.
Yeah, the game that everyone hates, but yet it's the highest rated Mario Kart on Metacritic. Because at the time, it was a graphical masterpiece. But now people are like, it controls bad. And it's flat, so we hate it. Which, honestly, I don't blame them. I have played Super Circuit, and it is quite awful. So we'll see if maybe the Joy-Cons improved the steering.
Yes, let's see.
For those of you that might be like, Wario Land, what's that? It's a platformer where you can't die. Instead, you get penalized by having various status effects put on you if you hit a hazard or an obstacle, but sometimes the status effects give you a boost. Like if you're a zombie, jump lower, run slower, but yet if you jump onto a semi-solid platform, you can pass through it. So it's some of the most ingenious level design I've seen in a 2D platformer on the aspect of trying to design around the fact that Wario doesn't have a health bar. Like, that's just insane for a Game Boy game. Are there any particular favorites that you already like from the initial lineup, and are there any that you want to see in the future that weren't announced?
So I've never played any of the Game Boy games, even the advanced ones. So I don't know too much about any of the games that were added on to there, but I can say I don't mind Super Circuit, but I can admit that some of the controls are a bit off. The screen is just way too bright for my liking. But I am planning to like go through all the cups and see some of the maps, because some of them I actually was like, ooh, that's cool.
You can see what Boo Lake and Ribbon Road and Mario Circuit 1 all looked like before they got the deluxe treatment.
Exactly.
Oh, and Snowland. I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, so I'm pretty keen for that. I don't know too many games on, like I said, I don't know too many games on the Game Boy, so I don't know what games I'd like to see.
Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge. I almost forgot about that, but I really hope they bring that one over. Because then we can say we have Banjo-Kazooie and the Banjo-Kazooie sequel. Because everyone thinks Banjo-Tooie is the sequel, but it's actually the third game in the series chronologically. Grunty's Revenge actually came second in the timeline.
Okay. Alright.
So, do you think we've exhausted the Game Boy family tab now that we've only have a minute left on our timer?
Mario and Luigi Super Saga. There you go.
Oh yes! Alpha Dream, you live on in other forms.
Exactly.
So the next item on our list is something that both of us are insanely excited about. Which I'm honestly surprised there isn't more stuff that fit that category for us, but we've got Master Detective Archives Raincode. We're not even trying to hide the fact that it's inspired by Danganronpa, and it was made by the same creators. And neither of us particularly care, because that's why we want it so badly. It's because we want more Danganronpa.
Because when they first announced it, they said from the creators of Danganronpa. We were like, hi, we're here.
Even the music sounded like Danganronpa. Like, I bet once I finish editing this, I'm gonna put in background music from Danganronpa, and then some of you music nerds can say, now Paul, the music in this trailer was actually, and then you'll be like, it actually sounds very similar to Danganronpa, so I don't blame you, Paul.
Yes, they gave us a bit more information on some of the characters, like disguising. You can hear characters' heartbeats, I think they said. So that'll be some cool mechanics probably we can use in the game. So
I honestly wasn't even paying attention to all of that information, because I was like, I'm already gonna play it, so I don't need to know anything more about it.
they also have post-cognition, I think that's how you pronounce the name. Yeah, this will be pretty interesting. I know I showed a friend some of the trailers for the game, and he looked at it with this suspicious face. I think it's because of the girl, and he was like,
Whenever there's a girl in a game, people want to play it more.
Well, he's much older, so
Except for Super Princess Peach. I heard that that was a financial failure, but I think that's because they over-feminized the game too much. Like, literally calling the place Vibe Island. And the plot is that Bowser has stolen the Vibe Scepter, so it makes everyone lose control of their emotions. It's like, yeah, this totally isn't a game for girls at all.
Yeah, I can't wait for Raincoat. It's gonna be so good. I just want it to come out already just so I can play it. Like, I love detective games.
Well, we've got Process of Elimination coming out before that, so
When's
you
that?
can get a little bit of reprieve. It's coming out in April, I believe. So another April game.
Yeah, I need
My
to...
birthday is in April, for those of you that didn't know.
Yeah. Alright, so, which is not made by Spike, but a certain character looks like someone from Killing Harmony.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the influence was intentional.
Yeah, I think so as well.
So the next item we have on our list is, it honestly, it blew my mind in the sense that I didn't think they were ever gonna do it. Because I had heard this, well, let me say what it is, and then I'll tell you the backstory. They announced a new Professor Layton game, and not just a new Professor Layton game, but Professor Layton game with Professor Layton in it, because the previous Layton game starred Layton's daughter, and Layton didn't appear in it at all. So, it's great that we finally got to see him show up with his hat on and everything. They didn't show any gameplay, they just said it exists. And Level 5 is making it, and here's why it's so unbelievable. It's because I had heard that Level 5 shut down their American studios. So I thought that meant that they were done making Layton games, or if they were going to make any more, they were going to be Japan exclusives. But no, apparently that was wrong, or they figured something out, because it said Level 5 on the top left of the screen.
Yep.
And I should know my Layton history because I'm quite the Layton fan. Not a die-hard fan. I haven't played all of his games, but I did really like Unwound Future. I adored Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. I mean, Phoenix Wright alone made the game for me. But basically, that game got me to be more interested in Layton. And even though nothing ever topped Unwound Future, I don't think I would have liked Unwound Future enough if Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright hadn't initiated me into the general style of how the Layton games work. So, from your perspective, you probably think this was a terrible announcement, don't you?
What? At first I was like, who is this? Why does his face look like that? And then you shouted, Professor Layton! And then I immediately went, oh, it's that one from Phoenix Wright. So, and then just made me smile hearing the joy come out of your mouth. So I was like, well...
I mean, if you want to be technical, Ace Attorney actually came first, but when the team was making the first Professor Layton game, their modus operandi was make a series that'll be better than Ace Attorney. They failed, but at least they tried.
Yeah. Yeah. This game looks like
And
it
that's why
belongs in the industrial area, it seems like.
I mean, that's not really a surprise, considering the setting of Unwound Future. I'm guessing, granted they showed us literally nothing except for Professor Layton tipping his hat and some cogs, but I'm guessing that it's a sequel to Unwound Future, because the 3 games that came after Unwound Future were all prequels, and then they did spin-offs after that. Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright was canonically before Unwound Future, but after the prequels. And so Unwound Future left us with this giant cliffhanger ever since 2009. And if they finally tell us what did the professor do after that amazing epilogue, it's gonna be it's about darn time, a Level 5.
Sounds good. Yeah, I was like, right, you're gonna give us any information? And they're like, nope, that's all you get. And I'm like, thanks, Nintendo.
Well, personally, I think they didn't really need to give any information, because people who have already played Professor Layton, they don't need any information. They're just it's a Professor Layton game, we're just gonna get it, because it's Layton, it's a puzzle game, we love it.
Yeah.
I think that if you don't like puzzles, you would hate Professor Layton with a passion, because that's all he does is solve puzzles, and usually the puzzles are only very loosely related to the actual mystery. Like, one of the worst examples in Azran Legacy was when Layton was lost, and he was trying to ask one of the local townspeople for a map where to go. And the local townsperson said, "Well, I'd like to help you, but I'm trying to figure out how to melt an ice cube. If you can teach me how to do that, then I'll give you directions." And it's like, who does that? That's so out of context. So do you think you'll wait for my review and see if the puzzles are simple enough for you, or do you think you'll be like, Zero Escape is more than enough puzzles for me?
Yep, Zero's. Well, that's what you think I'll say, but I will see your review. You got a thought on
If
when
I
this
can
would,
get a review.
when this could come out?
I have no idea. Gamefly doesn't even have rentals for it yet, so who knows if I'll even be able to play it, because I'm definitely not paying full price for it.
I think it'll
I
come out
definitely
either
would like-
end of this year or early next year.
I think so too, especially since it was announced in February, so like, if it comes out next year, it's like that much work for a Layton game? This is why they call themselves Level 5, because it's level 5 levels of entertainment.
Exactly.
So the next item on our list is more DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It didn't show much, but they showed enough to make us both realize, dang, the waves just keep getting better and better. They showed off that they're bringing in a brand new course based off of Yoshi's Island, which is a spin-off, so yay for Nintendo embracing their side franchises. And this is a detail that not too many people picked up on, but when you pick up the coins in that course, they make the same sound as they did in Super Mario World.
Yeah.
And they're adding Birdo. And I didn't think they were going to add new characters for the wave, but apparently they are. So that means we could get Funky Kong again.
Mhm. Yep.
Not that I ever played as Funky Kong, because I didn't like the heavy characters in Mario Kart Wii, but I thought that was so cool that, again, Donkey Kong was like... Mario started out in Donkey Kong, so having Donkey Kong characters in Mario Kart only makes sense, considering Mario's origins.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to double check because Nintendo likes to lie lately, saying new course when it actually came out in Mario Kart Tour first. But for this one, I don't think it came out in Mario Kart Tour, not that I can remember. I'll have to get a confirm on that. But I don't recognize it, so I think this is a brand new course, so heck yes, Nintendo, thanks for actually telling us the truth. Birdo coming out from Double Dash is great, because I actually really want to play Double Dash, so... but I actually
Not
did
missing
go...
much.
I did go check online, and there was a post that actually came out from the Nintendo UK that said that there will be more characters coming for the other waves, and we've got what, 2 left, I think. So
Who left after this one? Yeah.
yeah, so we should be getting some new characters as well. So this will be very exciting. I can't wait for this. I was like, give us more maps, and they're like, nah, that's all you get. Here's a release.
I mean,
here's
if
a
they
release date.
If they really want to get crazy with characters, they could bring in Rob.
Oh my god.
Rob isn't even a Mario character. He's a peripheral for the NES. And he appeared in Mario Kart DS before he even appeared in Smash. So, that would be insane if they added him. Especially, again, he's not even a character. He's a toy that was sold with the NES because Nintendo thought if we advertise our gaming console as a toy, more people will buy it.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be such a nostalgia trip.
Exactly.
Which characters would you like to see from past Mario Kart games? Because they said it would be returning characters, so don't expect something like Haunted Rosalina or anything like that, unless it's already in tour.
I would love to see Zelda come into this. That'd be cool because we've got Link. So
Zelda was never in a Mario
Zelda
Kart
was
game,
never in
so
a
I don't
game,
think
so-
that'll happen.
we can play as Toad, can we?
I don't think Toadette we can, so that would be something.
I think if we can't play as Toadette, that'd be cool. Maybe
Actually, Toadette's first appearance was Mario Kart Double Dash because they needed a partner for Toad. So they literally created a character for him.
Funky Kong would be cool. I'm trying to think of anyone else, because they've added almost everyone, to be honest.
Everyone is here, except for all the alternate costumes in Mario Kart Tour.
Yeah, I can't really think of too many apart from, like, Funky Kong would be nice. I don't think Cranky Kong has ever been in a Mario Kart game, has he?
No, he hasn't, but Diddy Kong has, and he's not in Mario Kart 8 yet, so we
Ooh.
will see.
Yeah, hopefully those two can come in.
So we've got a real rapid fire one for this next one. Such a rapid fire take that before we started recording, Pagel had to re-watch the 2 seconds of the direct that showed this to be like, what am I even watching? Thus they showed a very tiny sizzle reel for Minecraft Legends, which I didn't even know existed before watching this, but apparently it's been announced 7 months ago. So do you want to tell the audience what the heck even is this game?
Yes. So for those who don't know, Mojang has been sort of quietly making a game behind our backs, and they announced months ago a game called Minecraft Legends, and I had to go back and watch the announcement trailer and stuff because I was like, I need to refresh my memory because I only watched it once. And basically it's very different from your typical Minecraft game, in which it's an action strategy game, so you get to have a little bit of strategy fun. And we don't know too much on what's really going on, but it seems like we got whole new monsters and whole new monsters, enemies, all that stuff. But it seems like all the enemies have gone through a portal, and they're like, hey, let's go destroy this village and this world, because why not? And we're coming out and we're going to stop it. We're going to be the hero. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Like I said, it's an action strategy game, so if anyone likes action strategy games, have fun.
I've never even played regular Minecraft. The most exposure I have to the franchise is through Steve being in Smash, and I'm terrible as him, so I don't know if Minecraft is my kind of game, but I do appreciate that it's not going the Paper Mario route, where it's just getting too stale and predictable, where the team is willing to take it in multiple different directions.
Yeah, I can't wait for this game. I'm definitely gonna get it, so it'll be very exciting to try it out and see how it turns out.
Because they gave us so little information, we can move on to Tears of the Kingdom, which they used to show up to end off the direct. I don't know what to think, because I kind of didn't want any more information about Tears of the Kingdom.
You got it anyway.
I mean, it looks good, but it didn't blow my mind. I was like, I kind of already knew that stuff, but I kind of didn't at the same time. It was kind of just hey, here's more of the game, because you can't wait until May, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they brought in a new voice, because we've heard Zelda, and they brought in a male voice, which a lot of people are thinking it's Ganondorf, which a lot of people are saying could be Matt Mercer.
Yeah, it could be.
It sounds like
I would
him.
especially love it. I would especially love it if they made Link talk. But good talking, not the cringe stuff we heard in the CDI Zelda games, but maybe the determined protector of Zelda Link. You know, the one that actually wrote in first person in the Japanese version of Breath of the Wild. The one who actually apparently has a pre-established personality and spoke to Zelda, but then they canonically gave him a reason to not speak. It's what excuse are they going to use this time? Before it was because he was shouldering the kingdom's burdens, and that's why he refused to speak. But Kingdom has at the start of Tears of the Kingdom, I presume it picks up where Breath of the Wild left off, which was a peaceful time. So I don't know. I want Link to speak.
I mean,
good speaking.
Yeah, I agree. It's a bit overdue. I made the joke when the direct happened that they chucked a Majora's Mask because the moon was like, I'm gonna hurt you.
Yeah, anything that brings in Majora's Mask stuff is good to me, because Majora's Mask is I think I'd probably have to say it's my third favorite Zelda. Maybe fourth, if you count A Link Between Worlds. I just love the sense of absolute dread that Majora's Mask brings, and the whole time management element. So well done. You would think it would make the game bad, and to some people it is. Like, some people can't stand Majora's Mask. If you know the right tricks, and you look at how the game implements the idea of a destructible moon, it's amazing that they could get that working in only a year. This game, on the other hand, it's amazing that they took so many years to make it.
Yeah, and also it seems like we're going to be building a lot of new things, such as a car, a hot air balloon, and some plane-looking thing. So that'll be interesting to see.
Crafting stuff besides food. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, and I know I've seen a lot of people already making theories on what's going on with this game because a lot of people were confused with the end of the trailer, which Zelda said, "Please lend him your power." So everyone was like, "What's going on?" So there's been a few theories. People think that we might get to play as Zelda as well, which I'm not sure about that. A lot of people have been making theories that a big character, someone important might die. So a lot of theories already coming out.
All Tears of the Kingdom. Obviously, it's going to be sad.
Yeah, maybe Zelda dies and we can give
Oh,
Link.
that'd be great.
Link can have a new girlfriend.
I mean, it is true that canonically Link did die in Breath of the Wild and was revived, so you're not above killing off their main character. We have just about run out of time for our 5 minutes for Tears of the Kingdom, but just before the timer runs out, I would like to add that I know I was pessimistic about the announcement, but I'm not pessimistic about the game. Breath of the Wild is currently my favorite video game, and this looks like it's going to top that. I just don't want to know any more about it. I'm convinced. Take my money, hopefully not my actual money, my gift card money for my birthday, and then I'll play it.
Yeah, I can't wait for this to come out. I asked Dragon if he's going to play it, and he said he's not sure yet, but I think he'll get it.
That is the end of our list of items. Would you like to do an afterglow of the afterglow? Like, what are your thoughts on the Direct as a whole? And do you think it was good? Do you think it was terrible? Were there announcements that made you cringe? Like, what was your overall thoughts on what we got?
I really liked this Direct. I thought it was a really good one to start off the year, especially with the past few have been a bit crap, to say the least. I know you and I have made a few meh comments with the past 2 or 3. So we were just thinking, we were praying that this one was going to be good, and it was really good. I still think the February 2021 Direct, which was the first one I ever watched, was still my favorite. There were a lot of really good things that were announced in that one, like Miitopia and Splatoon 3. But this one definitely has to be a second favorite. I was really happy with Splatoon that was announced in here. I was happy with the Game Boy stuff. There were a lot of stuff that was announced that I was really happy with. So I give this probably maybe like a 7.5, 8 out of 10, to be honest.
I don't really do point ratings, but I would have to say that my overall adjective that I would use to describe this Direct is inclusive. It knew how to draw in pretty much every crowd. I think probably the only crowd that it wouldn't draw anyone in was horror, because I don't think there were any, like, jump scare type games in there, at least not that I can remember.
No, there wasn't really any at all. So, who knows? Maybe they've got some cooking up, and they're going to bring in the fake E3 Direct if they have one in June.
Well, don't discount Nintendo's fake E3 Directs, because my favorite Direct, well, actually, I think this one has topped it, but my second favorite Direct is the E3 2019 presentation, where they started off with revealing Hero and Smash, and then they ended it with revealing Banjo and Smash, which is one of the best announcements I've ever heard in a game in my life, and then they ended it with the reveal of Tears of the Kingdom. Like,
Yeah.
How do you top that?
I actually went back to watch that Direct myself. Very good Direct.
So I'm glad that Nintendo seems to have learned how to bring back the hype. I have heard a couple of people online complaining that most of the stuff Nintendo themselves are making is pretty much exclusively remakes, like except for Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 4, and Metroid Prime 4. I think those are like the big new games, but everything else is just a remaster, which I'm fine with. If it means letting people experience the classics and letting Nintendo know that we like their old stuff, maybe that'll get them to get the message of, yeah, maybe we should make a new F-Zero game. It's about time. I think one of the best things about this direct for me is how much stuff was shadow dropped. Like, I know for the Metroid fans, they're probably losing their minds that that Metroid Prime Remastered was shadow dropped on the eShop. Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games were, not all of them, but a lot of them were available right after the direct. Return to Dreamland demo. For you, you've got your Octopath demo. Like, my gosh, I was actually kind of worried that my backlog would get to be too much after this direct.
Yeah, there were. I'm sure I'm gonna get a bit of annoyance from some people in my comments being like, "You forgot to announce this game." We didn't talk about it because either one, we're not interested, or two, we don't know what the heck it is. So.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk about literally every single game because she and I would probably both be like, next, and that would be the end of it. You guys wouldn't want that. You want us to be positive. We are optimistic people on my channel. We like to talk about good things. I don't know if I actually told you this, but I mean, since this is going on my channel, I might as well be able to plug. I have a motto, and I've had this motto ever since making my Worst Games of 2021 video, and that's going into every year, I'm going to try to play only good games and not have a worst games list ever again.
Really?
We will see if that actually happens, but that was, yeah, 2021 had Lost Lands Dark Overlord, and I hated that game so much that it made me say I am going to really be picky about the games I play, and I am going to, like, try to never review bad games again.
Wow.
And again, there have been a few exceptions, like the suicide of Rachel Foster, but for the most part, that's why you might have noticed that if you look at like my more recent reviews, it's usually games that I had very high opinions of.
Yep.
So maybe this year will be the year where I've just completely ironed out all of the bad games, and there's nothing but positivity going forward.
Let's see on that, because I kind of like your worst games of the year list. They make me giggle.
They make me giggle in opposite ways, because you're still streaming the game that I said was the worst of 2022. So with that, if this is going on Paggle's channel, then those of you who are fans of her channel can be like, wow! An 8-year-old is having a successful YouTube channel. Who would have thought that? Do you have anything you'd like to say to the audience to talk about your youthful success?
Oh my goodness. Spoiler alert, I'm turning 21. Anyway. No. I think we can just end it there. We've just hit the hour mark on the recording, so yay, we actually did well.
That's exactly what I told you when I was giving my estimate. I said it's going to be approximately an hour if I do the math.
Yep, and we did it, so I'm pretty proud of ourselves. Maybe we should continue using this timer from now on.
Yeah, I think we should. It worked really well. It prevented us from going on a big tangent like we did with our Mario games video.
That went for 3 hours, and I've only cut it down to an hour and 53.
Well, Mario 64 was the first game I ever owned, so...
Yes, we, hope you enjoyed, because we gotta continue this little series we do. We're gonna do one for the June Direct if they have anything as a backup plan for leaving E3.
Oh, let us hope that they do leave E3, because I have just lost all interest in E3.
They have. Like, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony have left it this year, so...
good for them. Now they can focus on their own stuff. And for those of you on my audience, I would like to thank you very much for watching. I'd like to especially thank my patrons, Matthew Rakowski, Sploon Ghost, and I keep saying possibly Splatcat because she said she had a bank error, and that's why she's no longer my patron. Knowing her brain, she might have forgotten to re-patronize, so we'll hope. And if any of you want to join, the link will be in the description. I'm sorry that you're too young to have a job, Peggle, so maybe you will when you get older.
Yes.
Alright then, well, you all have a great rest of your day. Remember to keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye!